A Different Man, starring Sebastian Stan. Yeah, this was actually a really good film. I really enjoyed this film. I'm going to tell you all about it here, and I'm going to get into some spoilers, but hey, a part of it is I just saw this film yesterday, and it's still stewing in my mind. I'm still thinking about it a lot. And I might be wrong in my interpretation of this film. And if I am, if you want to leave a comment, please feel free. Not enough people leave a lot of comments on these things. So the basic premise of A Different Man is it's about a guy who has a facial deformity of some type. This is going to be one of those reviews where I'm going to say things that I'm going to use terms that I really don't know. And I will have to admit, when I think about how to interpret this film, there's certain things about this film that don't really make sense to me and don't really add up, and I'm gonna address some of these issues. Anyway, so Sebastian Stan's character, he has a severe facial deformity, and where he goes, people of course like stare at him too much, or they don't stare at him at all. And so one day he goes to see a doctor who says like, okay, we have some doctors who have come up with some sort of like new technology that can actually fix this. So with pretty much no expectations, he goes in and gets some of the treatments. And this is one of those films that I think actually could have really delved into body horror. And because not only is because what happens is his face starts to bleed uncontrollably sometimes, but it is starting to get a little bit more I hesitate to use this term, like most faces would look. I don't want to use the term like normalized, because I don't want to imply that somebody with a facial deformity like this is abnormal. It's one of those times, like I warned you, I don't really know the proper language to use. I'm going to use the words that I think are the best words to use here. I forgot to mention that before he goes through this procedure, he actually meets a nice girl named Ingrid. And Ingrid is a playwright. And the main character of this film, Sebastian Stan's character, is also a writer, but doesn't really. Actually, I'm not really certain what he really does for a living. But apparently, he does make a living. In fact, it's kind of funny. This character, the main character, they show him being in this film about how to address people with facial deformities, which some sort of PSA that you're supposed to put it in an office or something like that. I guess that's really the only line of work he could get. And at the time, I went like, "Oh, that kind of sucks." And and then I just kind of went like, "Ugh." Anyway, as far as a commentary and that this film has about people with any kind of deformities and stuff like that, this film does make it, but it doesn't preach you. This is one of the things that I like about this film. I will tell you, it does not preach to you as far as like what's right or wrong. This is one of those films that I feel like could have done that, and it really does not, and that's what I really like about this film. This could have also been a film like Cyrano, and in fact I think Cyrano's dialogue from the film or dialogue from the original play, Cyrano de Bergerac, was kind of put into this film, something that I actually kind of appreciated, because it's about a character with a deformity who loves somebody, and it's probably unrequited love. Now, here's the thing. So Sebastian Stan's character is going through these facial treatments, and they actually work. But the way they show it is he can actually like peel off his old face to reveal another one underneath it. Now they don't go to too much detail showing this. I think there's a scene where he's looking at a mirror and he's kind of doing it, but the mirror is kind of fuzzy looking. I get the feeling like this was a film that realized we really don't want this to be a body horror type movie, but we want to do this. But we need to have this as a plot point, somehow the face has got to be fixed and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing that I don't really, that I think the film sort of suspends my disbelief on. After this happens, and he has his face and his face starts looking like, for lack of a better term, most people's faces, he starts to go out and he meets new friends. And then so he decides to essentially kind of like put his old life to rest and essentially kind of, I think he realizes that he could kind of blame this on a suicide. And so basically that's what happens. We see him a few years later, and he's now a real estate agent, a very successful one. In fact, at the place they actually have like a cardboard cutout of him, and so he's kind of the poster boy of this thing. He's doing a pretty good job as a real estate agent, and they show that he lives in an apartment that's a lot better looking than his other one. So here's what I don't understand about this film. This man essentially had his facial features restructured to some miracle science of something like that. I can't help but think that his case, now unless we're living in some different sort of world where essentially this sort of technology has been used so many times that people are so used to it that stories like his are pretty commonplace, I can't help but feel like this guy would be some sort of minor celebrity, like his story would be known, like people would know about this guy and how his face used to look like this and now it looks like that. And I feel like this would be more known, and I'm not sure this guy could be as under the radar as he is in this thing. Because there's a few other things that happen in this film. Later on, when he's just on the street one day, he notices that there's a theater and they're doing this play called Edward, which was his former name. So essentially he discovers that his old friend, the one that he was attracted to, has written this play, and Edward, him, is essentially the focus. And so while he's at the play, or while he's seeing this happen at the theater, he decides to audition. And when he auditions, he finds like an old scan of his face that the doctors once used as a model, and they give it to him after he's done, and it's a perfectly fit mask. So he actually uses this mask, and then he sort of plays out this character, and of course they want him to play the role because they think he really understands the character. Now, what you're thinking, okay, is true. The playwright, Ingrid, has no idea that Sebastian Stan's character is who he is. I think in her mind she believes that this character is dead, and so she does not make the connection, and he does not tell her. And here's the strange thing that happens. This other guy comes into the theater who has also a facial deformity, and he's played by an actor who's been in another film called Under the Skin, and he had that facial deformity there, so I believe that this actor actually does have this condition in real life. And and his name is Oswald, and here's the thing. Oswald starts to get very close to Ingrid with making Sebastian Stan's character very jealous, and you can see where this is kind of going here. I'm not really certain what this film is trying to say, because to me, I'm going like, okay, if you've had the surgical procedures to fix Sebastian Stan's face, wouldn't this guy also know about those surgical procedures and also be undergoing them? That didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I wondered if this was one of those films in which the main character didn't ever have a facial deformity in the first place, but only thought he did. And because what I really appreciate what they try to do is Oswald essentially has this life where he's very excited about living and stuff like that, and is very friendly and very open, and and people really like him. And it's kind of and to Sebastian Stan's character, he really ends up hating him. Now, I'm going to get into spoiler territory since I'm literally in the last minute here, but yeah. This actually ends with Sebastian Stan's character just going nuts, and he's sort of written out of the play because at first the play was going to end with, oh man, I don't know, the main character getting his face fixed, some sort of play like that. They're actually going to do something like that, but Oswald was so good in the play, of course they cast him on that, so of course he took his role. So there's kind of a jealousy thing going on here. So maybe I won't spoil the ending of this film, but I will say that yeah, at no point in time does Sebastian Stan's character ever tell Ingrid hey, I'm actually the Edward guy. Never happens, and I actually kind of prefer that ending. And I'll leave it to decide to you if you really like the ending of this film. But I will say, see this film. It is a really good one. Yeah. This is Mark from the Geek Church, signing off.